So at this point, we all know that Windows has some issues, and a lot of it is due to one thing: bloating. Microsoft Edge, OneDrive, any third-party antiviruses, and worst of all, Copilot, and all the AI software that are pushing you to use. These apps are completely optional, yet Windows seems to really like force-feeding them to you, but no more, because I decided that today was time for a switch, as I will now become a Linux user. And as someone who has used Windows his whole life, this is kind of scary, like I'm entering a jungle not knowing what's inside. Honestly, I just hope I won't break anything on my computer. So let's get into it. People use Linux for complete control over their computer, better privacy without corporate tracking, and free open source software. Main benefits of Linux: privacy control, performance, no cost, obviously, customization, security, has safe permission system, and is less targeted by common viruses. Software limits: some programs like specific professional Adobe apps or games with strict anti-cheat rules may not run on Linux. I see. Does that mean I can make it work, or is it impossible to make it run on Linux? Games with anti-cheat rules, though, is interesting, because not only is it better performance, better security, but it also essentially prevents you to play Valorant. That's one way to get rid of it, I guess. But what are the main disadvantages, I wonder? I mean, I guess there's these two, but the way you're used to Windows and or like Mac OS, and like what they mentioned with the software limits. The main disadvantages of Linux include a steep learning curve for beginner, compatibility hurdles with popular proprietary software like Adobe in certain games, potential hardware driver issues for specialized peripherals, and fragmentation across many different system distributions. It says Adobe Creative Cloud, Photoshop, Premiere, Microsoft Office do not run natively. I already use GIMP, so I think it's fine, but I do use Adobe Premiere. While gaming on Linux, games that use strict kernel level anti-cheat systems often refuse to run. Driver gaps, laptop optimization. Yeah, learning curves, I guess, is the one that makes the most sense. I should search which version of Linux should I use yet. On r/Linux question 3 years ago. For total beginners, Ubuntu or Mint. I remember in school I used Debian, and it was very, I mean, I guess it was the first time I was using like the command line and all that, but it was very confusing. I guess we'll go with Ubuntu. By far the most popular and beginner friendly. It has a vast community. It's easy to find solutions to problems, perfect for general use. The second thing is, it says here it has app incompatibility and like gaming issues, right? So I guess I could try to set it up. Can you like have a double setup with like Linux and Windows? Yes, you can have Linux and Windows on the same computer. The two main ways to do this are dual booting, choosing which system to use when you turn the PC on, or using a virtual machine. Dual booting puts both Windows and Linux on your hard drive, okay? When you turn on your computer, a menu appears asking which system you want to use. So to do that, I have to create partition, I guess, on my SSD. Pros: both systems run at full speed because each has total control of your computer parts. Cons: you can only use one system at a time. I mean, yeah, obviously, you're not gonna use two operating systems. How would that even work? Well, we'll try Ubuntu, I guess. Okay, is there a better guide than just this guy? Autodesk Instructable. If you have a computer, you've probably heard on Linux. Okay, yeah. Step 1, back up your computer. Before we do anything, we need to back up all files that are on your computer. I don't think I can do that. This is a pretty easy setup. Just use whatever your storage device choice is. How do I do that? How do I back up my computer? And where do I back up my computer? This is not clear. This is very, like, you're not helping me much here. Back up your important file. Download the Ubuntu ISO image file. How long is that going to take if I back up my files? I have like a ton of storage on this PC. Can I like fucking raw dog it and not do that?
What?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of it is like on a secondary drive. So I wouldn't lose that much, I think. Let me check. That is still a lot of data here. But like a lot of this is Windows, to be fair. Well, let's just be stupid, you know? Let's just be stupid. Okay, let's go back here. Create a partition for Ubuntu. So right now, the computer's memory is divided up into partitions because Windows operating system is the only system. We need to create some free space in the memory. This will allow us to install Ubuntu onto the computer. If you don't have enough space, I recommend freeing up some space before continuing. So find the C volume and right click to open up the menu. Select shrink volume. Then a querying message will pop up. Yeah. After this is done, enter the amount you want to shrink the C drive by. This is in megabyte and we want 20 to 30 gigabyte. Type in 20,000 to 30,000 depending on how much space you want for Ubuntu. Click shrink. If this is successful, there will be a free unallocated partition that was created. Could we go a bit higher? Because I don't know. Gemini says at least 30 to 50 is recommended. I guess we go for 50. I can do 50. I think that's fine. But I just realized size available shrink space in megabyte. gigabyte. That's not a lot. Why do I only have 2 gigs available to shrink? I don't get it. I have so much free space. I'm confused. Disk cleanup. Administrator. Yes. I don't think that's much. I don't think that's going to give much, honestly. Can surely do that. Maybe that'll help, but I don't think that it'll be enough. Yeah, let's try again. Shrink volume. Yeah, no, it's essentially the same thing. You cannot shrink a volume beyond the point where any unmovable files are located. See the defrag event in the application log for detailed information about the operation when it has completed. Am I fucked? Okay, so it says to restart the computer essentially. All right, I'll try to restart and like something else. We'll see what that gives us. All right, we're back. Forgot to do one thing. On the start menu, command, and now he wants me to turn off hibernation. Power CFG, press enter. So that's done. You should use PowerShell. Yeah, that's done. Windows R, system properties protection. All right, configure and shows disable system protection. Okay, and now I restart again and we're back. Defragment and optimize drive. Click optimize. Okay, it's done. Now I should go back to disk management. I should shrink volume again and hopefully it'll give me a much higher value. It does. I don't know if this is enough though, because it says 30 to 50, but we can try maybe. And we just shrink it. And after that, I'm going to have to re-enable the Windows settings. Did it work? I guess it worked. Oh yeah, I have the unallocated partition. Now I go back to PowerShell, re-enable the settings, and I go command power efg/h on, and I do Windows R, system properties protection, configure, and I turn on the protection. And I think we're good. We've done step 2. Now step 3, create a live USB. Next, we're going to create a live USB stick. This will allow us to install boot up Ubuntu from the USB and download it to the computer. And I have to download Ubuntu from here. I should download this one. Let me find a drive. Okay, so I found a drive. So here it's asking me to use Universal USB Installer. Gemini is asking me to use Rufus. So I don't know which one I should follow, or does it matter even? How old is this tutorial? It doesn't say, right? Oh my God, 12 years ago. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think I'll just follow this instead. Download and run the free portable version of Rufus. The free portable version, he said, right? So this one, I guess we'll go with that. So I have this. Let me plug in the drive. Oh shit! Okay, so I have Ubuntu downloaded as well. This is done. There we go. Now that it's formatted, what do? Insert your USB flash drive into the computer. In Rufus, select USB under device. Click select next to boot selection and choose the downloaded Ubuntu ISO file. Select, and I select this one, I guess. Leave all other settings at their default. Click start, select write in ISO image mode if prompted, and click OK to format the drive and flash the installer. Write in ISO image mode, OK. Will be destroyed. Oh, so I didn't need to format. I just realized that it's just the software that flashes a USB drive. So I probably could have used the one from the tutorial, even if it's like 10 years old. Okay, so the next step is going to be to shut down the computer and insert the drive into a USB port, which it already is. So I just leave it on. Turn the computer on and immediately press your boot menu. Use your arrow key to select the drive and press enter. And I should boot into Ubuntu. That's a mouthful. Boot into Ubuntu. A black screen text will appear. Select try or install Ubuntu and press enter. Wait a minute for the desktop to load. Click the install Ubuntu icon on the screen. So just run the installer in general. Select install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager. That's the important one. I think we're in business. Just waiting for the drive to finish flashing. So it's ready now. So just close. That it? Yeah, I guess I'll film with my phone like the setup process, and we'll see. So here I'm just selecting the boot device, which was the USB drive we just flashed. I just select install Ubuntu and it's just gonna boot into the setup. There we go. Oh yeah, I had an issue at the start with my main monitor not being detected as the main monitor. So I had to do the install, as you'll be able to see in a few seconds. I had to do the install on my vertical monitor of all monitors, obviously, which wasn't ideal for sure. As you can see, it booted into the Ubuntu setup on my vertical monitor. So I tried to move the main monitor out of the way and try to make it more horizontal, pulling the cables. Yeah, get out the Celsius can. And we're not doing that bad. So select the language, select the accessibility settings that you need. I didn't need any, so I just click next. Select your keyboard layout, which is going to be the default one. I like that they give you like a input to test out the keyboard layout that you have. Make sure you're on the right layout essentially for your keyboard. Here I wasn't sure, so I tried to detect keyboard layout option, and as it turns out, I was already on the good keyboard layout. I was just a dumbass pressing the wrong key. But worst things have happened. I think it's about here that I realized I'm on the right keyboard layout. I'm actually on the right thing, and I've actually been on the right thing since the beginning. As you can see, I'm typing question mark, and I'm like, oh. So connection to the internet, I used the wired connection, so didn't have a setup to do really here. And what I want to do, I wanted to install Ubuntu. So I selected the default selection of apps to start with. I probably downloaded and installed support for MP3, MP4s. I probably, checked both actually. And I selected the dual boot with Windows. Here it tells me that I will have issues with encryption and BitLocker blocking the drives that I have on this PC. It's asking me for my time zone. And finally, the final review. So dual boot, I selected all the settings that I needed, and it's just then gonna install. So here I'm already looking at the settings, looking at the apps that are already installed. I'm selecting the background, I'm setting my theme, just setting it up overall, just playing with the settings. And Ubuntu is installed. I have to restart. Fun fact, I restarted and the settings that I set up were gone. So I had to redo it all over again. But it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I'm just restarting. I select which OS I want to boot, and it's starting. And I'm back on the main monitor too now. And I'm just logging in. I'm trying to fix the login screen being on my vertical monitor, but I didn't find a fix until today, actually. And I am on Ubuntu. And the first thing I'm doing is fixing my displays, putting my vertical monitor vertical and putting my main monitor as the main monitor. But yeah, that's not really the interesting part. I'm just going to skip over to me already using Ubuntu. All right, so I'm back. I had a few issues. I set up everything I needed, all the apps I needed, and I think I can finally talk about what I like and what I dislike about Ubuntu. First thing that I like is, first of all, to be able to open the terminal with a simple command. So I just do Control-Alt-T and it opens the terminal. Beyond that, what I really like is all the shortcuts, where it's like way more programmer friendly in a way, but also simply put, just better UX. It's just better for the user. It's better for like the expert, I guess, in a sense. And with the terminal specifically, what I really like too is being able to install apps, software, whatever, through the terminal. So for example, I do sudo apt install VLC. It's gonna install VLC, and there you go. And I have VLC right here. And that works for everything. And it's so nice because you basically essentially get rid of executable files that you have on Windows. The same executable files that I always forget to delete and get rid of, that I always stay on my machine and always take up space. So this is actually really nice. I also just really like the UI. I have my apps at the bottom in the dock. By default, it's on the left, but I put it at the bottom. I have all the options, all the apps running at the top. The calendar's right here if I ever need. And yeah, this is actually really nice. I like I said, I like the shortcuts. And if I press the Windows key, for example, I just see everything here on my desktop essentially, and I can just switch apps pretty easily like that, which is also pretty nice. There's a couple main issues that I've run into. First, connecting a device with Bluetooth is actually hell. I tried connecting my headset. Every time I connect my headset to Windows, then go back to Ubuntu and connect it again. So I have to do Bluetooth control, and here I think I have to do remove and the MAC address of the device, because I'm essentially connected to the same machine but through two OSs from what I understand. And there's a setup that I did, but it doesn't really work. I have to keep searching up on that because this is actually very annoying. Every time I have to do that, like I can't go here, click here and connect. It's just not gonna connect. I have to like remove the device and like remake the connection to the device essentially, which is very annoying for now. One thing that I don't like as well is if I want to paste something. So say if I want to install VS Code, I can't right click and paste it directly, which is what I expected from the Linux command line. I essentially have to paste it, right? Like click the option, or I have to use the shortcut, which is Control-Shift-V and not just Control-V like usually would have in any other application, which is kind of annoying, but it's also kind of just a minor inconvenience. I feel like I could live through that. One other thing that is an issue, obviously I've talked about it in the first part of this video, is the app incompatibilities. For example, I can't use Premiere. I can't play Valorant on that game. I can't play other games from Steam. I've tried to boot up GTA. It seemed to work fine. But yeah, some other games, some other programs will not be like available, which is kind of annoying. And finally, the last part is I've had issues with some lag, and I think it's mainly due to the partitions that I've made that is a bit too small. I've looked it up. If I do df-h, it actually says here I'm 87% full. And I've read that beyond 90%, you will start to notice some performance issues. So I either have to make space, which I don't know if I can really, or I will need to find a a way to try to increase the partition size, essentially, which could also cause some issues because, as you saw earlier, I was kind of maxed out already. So I don't know how that would work, essentially. And I'm kind of worried of losing my data at this point. But other than that, it's been a great experience. Like I said, it's very programmer friendly. I really like just using the terminal for like a bunch of shit. It's actually really nice. It feels less bloated overall, much more minimalistic, and I really like that overall. But yeah, I think I'll just use it for a while, and I think in the future I'll make an update and talk more about the things that I like and dislike in a deeper way, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm glad I managed to do it, and overall it was just a cool experiment to like boot a version of Linux, use a different OS, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's it for now. I guess I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.